Hello everyone, and welcome back again to Total War Pharaoh. This was the medium tier battle that I was able to play, and we've been given a little bit heavier army. I'm going to introduce you to a few of those units here on the deployment screen, and then we'll be watching a replay of the battle so that I can give you slightly more cinematic views and discuss what this battle was like. They've given me these heavier two-handed mace axe warriors, there's some heavier spears and other axe units, and my general's bodyguard is actually in a chariot archer unit. So it's going to give us a little more capability. You'll notice it's also raining in this battle. There is some terrain on the battlefield that could turn very messy for the chariots. I'm going to have to avoid it, and just very messy for any heavy troops, like some of these ones that you're seeing now. The enemy army this time is going to be King Suppiluliuma, I think somehow you say that, King of the Hittites. And his army is also going to be heavier and more dangerous than the one that we faced in the previous battle. And he potentially could put us in a bad situation with terrain if we're not careful. We were told, too, when playing the battle that the weather could get crazy. It is only raining now, but that a big thunderstorm potential might be on the way because, again, the dynamic weather system is supposed to play a big role. Now, having these chariot archers, wanted to be a little more dynamic than the first battle where things were a little more straightforward. I wanted to use this mobility and range to get out and pick at the Hittite king's army. And he had some chariots opposite of me that I decided would be an appropriate target. So my first move was to come out here and take a look at them. Now, I also stuck way to the left of the battlefield. Later on, you all might see, if I get a chance to show you the skybox and stuff, over to my right hand of the deployment was some potentially very muddy terrain, and I had to steer clear of that with my chariots, and I wanted to stay in more open ground where they could be more effective. Now you can see the Hittite chariots here are actually a heavier, more melee-centric version, and there are multiple units of them. So I definitely wanted to do some damage to them early. And as I came out and started shooting those chariots, Suppiluliuma's forces charged, just almost like bonsai towards me. They did not want to sit back and be shot, and so suddenly I had their entire army bearing down on me. And again, they had some tough units in here mixed in. This was not going to be a super lightweight fight. Now, they came in first with their chariots. Not surprising here, the AI does tend to YOLO some in the Total War series, and that is no different at the moment as they came in with their chariots attempting to kill my archers. I was ready for such an event, and I had javelin units hiding right behind my main line, and they are being used right now to pump these chariots full of javelins. A Javelin Day apparently is still alive and well in this game. Otherwise, I had some cheaper spear units that I'm going to use to fix these spears, and then right behind these spears is actually the king's bodyguard coming in on my right-hand flank. And my idea was to delay his unit, and then my heavy mace axe units, I'm going to hold them in the rear until later in the battle and bring them in for max effect. Though you can see the AI is targeting them, so that was good to see them targeting intelligently at some of my more elite units. And I'm able to fix the enemy infantry. I kept my chariot, Ramesses and his chariots back for a moment. As this battle began to unfold, I needed to fix the enemy infantry, and that's what I'm working on doing. And then I'm also trading shots back. You can see here as I zoom out again, excuse the camera work. This was my first time with the camera. It's a little bit different. I have to get used to it. It is very similar to Troy, actually, as I mentioned before. Yeah, you can see the battle lines now drawn. My javelins were able to bring down the enemy chariots. Over on my far right, you can kind of catch a glance of it there. The Hittite king has been fixed in place, and the battle lines are now drawn. And again, because the combat isn't going to be happening super fast, I have some time now to make some maneuvers and to use what's been given to me. There are a couple of holes in the line here that I can exploit with my chariots, and I am intending to do so. And then my javelins sit back at a slight distance from the main line, which is allowing me to pour some really nice fire into the flank of these enemy units as they come through and try and decide which of my units they wish to attack. You'll notice the AI is still just doggedly pursuing my double-handed axe units with their own skirmishers. They know what my most expensive units are, and they are unloading on them. And speaking of double-handed axe units here, I've got this Upper Egyptian mace axe infantry headed straight for King Suppiluliuma's bodyguard. And my intent, again, is to now, after he has tired himself fighting against my spears, I'm going to bring in a fresh unit on a heavy charge right into his bodyguard and really give them trouble. Now, he might still be able to fight his way through these guys, but I'm going to make him pay a dear price, and he's going to be fixed here for pretty much the entirety of the battle. Meanwhile, you can see Ramesses in the background, his little icon there, let you see these axes fighting up close. I am just completely leveling all of the Hittite skirmishers right now. Although my king is on a chariot archer, those chariot archers are still totally capable in a melee against light skirmish units, and so that's precisely what I've been using them for. They are absolutely crushing the Hittite skirmish contingent, and with that Hittite skirmish contingent crushed, it's going to leave my chariots free to come play a role in some of the infantry fights eventually as well. But most of the infantry fights, I've got them fixed well, and my archers are going to be able to start delivering flank shots here soon too, because I'm clearing out all of the ranged targets. So that was my goal, was kind of fix a main line, keep the king at bay, and then use my own chariots to gain an upper hand. And you'll notice that I held those chariots for just a moment while the battle opened up. Unlike the AI, who threw theirs in early, this allowed me to fix all the enemy units and avoid taking heavy damage on my own chariots. Look at these Medjay archers just dumping fire into the flank of these axemen. I do believe it's a shielded flank, but still, they're not going to enjoy taking this here. And they are getting beaten down pretty hard. You can see now that my javelins discharged, they have entered into combat as well. They make decent secondary units, and here you can see my two-handed mace axe infantry just, you know, sticking it to that heavy bodyguard. A very, very elite fight there in terms of infantry. Look at my chariots here too, still just absolutely running amok in the Hittite rear lines. The thunderstorm has started proper. This battle did not take place in the muddy terrain, which was fortunate for me because it allowed these chariots to do what I needed them to. And you can see that the enemy is starting to rout, and it's becoming quite contagious here in the center. So the Hittites are fleeing in the face of the superior tactics of Ramesses, the pharaoh, and then the Hittite king is left to fight basically alone as his army flees. You can see my mace axe infantry here did a really spectacular job, and that is actually going to be enough to break the Hittite army, and I'm going to be able to move on victorious from this one as well. I really enjoyed this battle. It gave me the opportunity to do a little maneuvering with the chariots. We also had some different options with infantry and those two-handed infantry, which made it kind of fun to hold them in reserve and get ready to go in at just the right moment. So definitely found that to be enjoyable. Anyway, you all tell me what you think down in the comments, and I'll have yet another look at another battle in Total War Pharaoh coming up soon.